First couple of days of Eric Adams in the New York mayor's chair has been rough. It's been very rough. New New York City mayor calls 911 on men fighting during subway ride on first day. Cool. Off to a rip-roaring start. At least he gets a face full of what New York City has become at this point. New York City Mayor Eric Adams called on the police he saw 3 men fighting during his commute on the first day of his job, according to the footage of the incident. While waiting for the subway train and talking to reporters on Saturday, Adams, a Democrat, yep, and that bleeds through in this article, or at least on the video itself, saw 3 men fighting near the the J train stop. In Brooklyn, he called 911 to report an assault in progress. Footage shows by the time the police arrived on the scene, 2 men had left and officer spoke to the remaining alleged offender, according to local reporters. Once a transit cop, always a transit cop, Adams said around 8 a.m. When he called 911, when punches were being thrown, he said, "Here we go. I knew it was only a matter of time. That's what I kept looking at." Or that's why I kept looking at it. Cool. If you're always a traffic cop, wouldn't you think that you'd be intervening? But then again, you're a mayor now. You're far more important. So, okay, I gave him some praise a couple of weeks ago about his new education appointment because that dude seems like a really solid person. But he also has a new DA, all right? And what is that new DA espousing? Well, other than a supersized fry with every meal, he is going to be stopped pursuing prison sentences for certain crimes. Just like what's happening in San Francisco, huh? Where they're basically just decriminalizing theft at $1,000, $950, I think, something like that. But it gets even worse than that, okay? You know how you fix a crime wave in New York City? You stop criminalizing everything. You just let them fucking run wild. New Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who, yes, was out there running some different charges, trying to go after Trump because Trump bad man. What's he doing actually on the job? Well, has ordered prosecutors to stop pursuing prison sentences for many criminal cases in a shakeup of how its office will address some crimes just days on the job. Bragg's office will not seek a carceral sentence, okay? No incarceration, sorry. Except in cases of homicide, domestic violence, felonies, public corruption, and some sex crimes. Some sex crimes. According to a memo titled Achieving Fairness and Safety. Oh boy, equity language? Oh, Eric Adams campaigned as a moderate, and then all of a sudden, mask off. Guess what? You're just getting blackballed de Blasio. This rule may be accepted only in extraordinary circumstances based on a holistic analysis of the facts, criminal history, victims' input, particularly in cases of violence or trauma, and any other information available. The memo from Bragg, a Democrat, read, it goes without saying, prosecutors must also now consider the impacts of incarceration, Bragg ordered. Okay, cool. Well, the people who committed the crimes, if they don't want to go to jail, we should probably consider that as well. Okay. Bragg ordered, noting that it must be taken into account whether prison terms do increase public safety. Getting offenders off the street normally helps public safety. Just throwing that out there in case he needs a refresher. If convicts will face future barriers in housing and employment, costs and race disparities. Cool. So now you're working on equity in the prison system. Cool. 1352. Data and my personal experience show that reserving incarceration for matters involving specific or significant harm will make us safer. Cool. The memo set out 5 key goals to invest more in diversion and alternatives to incarceration, to reduce pretrial incarceration, to focus on accountability, not sentence length. I love to see it. Somebody who, you know, is supposed to be the top cop, okay, the district attorney, he's supposed to be looking at locking up criminals. And what is he doing, in fact? Well, he's focusing on accountability. Oh, okay, cool. This is not what the criminal system is for. That's what the civil. Again, we're living through this post-law society. Is that where we're at? To limit youth in adult court. Well, if they commit adult crimes, you should charge them as adults. Just saying. And to actively support those re-entering society from incarceration. The memo states the prosecutor do seek to put a convict behind bars. The request can be for a maximum of 20 years to determine sentence. Oh, for a determinate sentence. Cool. The office shall not seek a sentence of life without parole. Oh, okay, cool. So cool. If you've been waiting to, I don't know, commit mass murder or something in New York City, now's your opportunity because you aren't going to be going away for life without a chance of parole. Bragg said he believes that the new changing bail, plea, and sentencing policies will advance the inexorably linked goals of safety and fairness. Except for the people being victimized. Who gives a fuck about their safety and fairness? We're all about the criminals' rights. He also said these policy changes will free up prosecutorial resources to focus on violent crime. Okay. Well, my commitment to making incarceration a matter of last resort is immutable. I don't want to work that hard. In the size of him, he hasn't worked that hard on literally anything in his fucking life. The path to get there through these policies will be dynamic and not static, and will be informed by our discussions starting this week in the trial division, and our work together in the weeks and months ahead, he told the staff. Responding in a six-page memo, the New York Police Benevolent Association President Patrick Lynch said Tuesday, PBA is concerned about the new policies and the message that these type of policies send to both police officers and criminals on the streets. Police officers don't want to be sent out to law enforcement, to enforce the laws, and the district attorneys won't prosecute. No shit. In Bragg's Manhattan, you can resist arrest, deal drugs, obstruct arrests, and even carry a gun and get away with it. No shit. Carry a gun illegally, which in New York City is basically any time that you have a gun. So, okay, what does Eric Adams, the new mayor, have to say about these policies? Okay, he's a former cop himself, and you remember, once a traffic cop, always a traffic cop. Well, is he going to be tough on crime like how he campaigned? Ex-cop Eric Adams back Manhattan's progressive new DA Alvin Bragg, who won't seek prison for most crimes and will downgrade felony charges in armed robberies and drug dealing. It gets even worse from there. Manhattan's new district attorney has unveiled a sweeping new policy to only seek prison sentences for a handful of offenses and downgrade or dismiss charges for many felony crimes, and Mayor Eric Adams is on board with the plan. Awesome. Alvin Bragg, who took office over the weekend, revealed his progressive new approach in a Day 1 policy and procedure memo released on Monday. The Democrats said offenses like marijuana misdemeanors, prostitution, resisting arrest, and fare dodging will no longer be prosecuted. Cool. So he just de facto decriminalized prostitution. Cool. New York City is back, baby. The directive comes despite New York City seeing a surge in violent crime. Citywide crime statistics published in December by the New York PD shows that shootings, murders, and auto grand larcenies have all nearly doubled, while murder is up 50% in the city compared to 2019. But that's alright. There's going to be no crimes anymore. Everything's going to be unprosecuted, so don't worry about any of it. Just a little bit more here. Among other woke proposals from Bragg's memo, the DA recommended robbers wielding guns or other deadly weapons to steal from stores and businesses will be prosecuted only for petty larceny, a misdemeanor. Cool. So you try to commit armed robbery? You'll just be slapped with a misdemeanor. Don't worry about it. Cool. Provided no victims were injured or there was no genuine risk of physical harm. Oh, okay, cool. Armed robbery is a Class B felony, usually punishable by up to 25 years in jail. But again, if you're wielding a gun, you'd assume that there's a risk there, but if you aren't going to be prosecuting it, or instead you're just going to be handing out petty larceny charges, seems to kind of run a little bit contrary. Convicts who are caught with a weapon other than a gun will have their charges downgraded to misdemeanors, as long as they are not also charged with more serious offenses. The felony would normally see crooks jailed for 7 years. Cool. Burglars who loot residential storage areas, parts of homes that are not accessible to a living area. Okay, cool. So if you just ransack somebody's back shed where they keep like really expensive lawn care stuff, or you know what, hey, if you just want to keep like a secret storage of things, or you know, a detached garage where you also keep your wares as well. Yeah, no, as long as it's not attached, okay, to a living area, and businesses located in mixed-use buildings will only be prosecuted with a minor Class D felony, where they would normally face a Class B or C charges punishable by up to 25 or 15 years in prison, respectively. And now, yeah, just misdemeanors. Drug dealers suspected of acting as a low-level agent of a seller will only be facing misdemeanor possession charges. Cool. So now if you intend to distribute, if you intend to sell, but you know you aren't the big kahuna in the fucking drugs thing, don't worry about it, kid. We don't want to fuck up anybody's life out there. We don't want to fucking stunt the hustle. There you go. You elect a Democrat, you get fucking Democrat policies. Doesn't matter if he campaigns as a fucking moderate. Eric Adams sold you a bill of goods and Yeah, this is what you get. This is the exact same shit as what Bill de Blasio was pushing. It's just being delivered with a little bit of a nicer veneer. But with that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.